Hello, welcome to the E&F section of the National 5 video tutorials. Today we're going to be looking at rationalizing fractions. Before you understand how to rationalize a fraction, it's important to understand what equivalent fractions are. Here I have 3 equivalent fractions to 1/2 on the left, and I have 3 equivalent fractions to 2/5 on the right. To find the first equivalent fraction to 1/2, all I've done is multiplied the top of the fraction by 5 and the bottom of the fraction by 5. For the second fraction, I've multiplied the top of the fraction by 4 and the bottom of the fraction by 4. And for the last one, I've multiplied the top half of the fraction by 35 and the bottom half of the fraction by 35. These all create equivalent fractions because I've multiplied the top and bottom by the same amount. These fractions are the same size as 1/2, but have been split up differently. On the right hand side, to find my equivalents, all I've done is multiplied the top half by 2 and the bottom half by 2. In the second example, I've multiplied by 4 on the top and bottom half of the fraction. And finally, I've multiplied by 5 to get that last equivalent fraction. Again, all of these fractions on the right hand side are equivalent to 2/5. They're the same size, but they've been split up differently. To rationalize a fraction, again, we create an equivalent fraction. This time though, instead of multiplying the top and bottom by a whole number, we multiply the top and bottom by the surd that is on the bottom of a fraction. So multiply by √6 on the top and bottom of the fraction. What we get is the top number multiplied by √6, so 5√6, over √6 times √6 is √36. We know the square root of 36 is just the whole number 6. So on the bottom of my fraction, I'm going to put a 6. Let's see if you can use that previous example to have a go at these 4 rationalizing questions. Make sure that you pause the video now because the answers will follow shortly. So here we are. The first question, its answer is 5√6 over 6. The second question, 7√3 over 3. The third question, 4√7 over 7. And the last question, 6√5 over 5. Now that's a simple version of some of the questions that you might get asked in your National 5 exam. Let's have a look at a few more difficult examples. Okay, so here are some examples that involve simplifying once you've rationalized the fraction. So again, I'm going to start off this top one by doing the same thing that we did before. I'm going to multiply by √6 on the top and the bottom of the fraction. 2√6 on the top, √6 times √6 on the bottom, so just normal 6. Finally, I've got a 2 on the top of my fraction and a 6 on the bottom of my fraction in whole numbers. Now because 2 and 6 both divide by 2, I need to simplify my answer by dividing by 2 on the top and bottom. I get just 1√6 on the top of my fraction, and on the bottom I get 6 divided by 2, which is 3. For the second example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split up the √6 that is on the bottom of the fraction first. Okay, so I'm going to say that √6 is equal to √2 times √3. Because there's a √2 on the top and bottom of my fraction, I can simplify my fraction to 1 over √3. Then it's a case of multiplying by √3 on the top and bottom of the fraction to rationalize that fraction. And I get as my final answer √3 over √3 times √3 is √9, which makes normal 3. This final example is very tricky. What we're going to do first is multiply both sides by root 18. That gives us 4 times root 18 on the top, which is 4 root 18. And it gives us a whole number 18 on the bottom. Those keen-eyed among you will realize that there's a factor of 2 on the top and bottom of that fraction. So I'm going to take that away. 4 divided by 2 is 2 root 18. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. Unfortunately, we still have a third unsimplified in our fraction. So we need to split that up into 2 numbers, one of which has to be a square number. So we're going to go for 2 times root 9. And what do we have to times 9 by to make 18? Root 2. All over 9. Okay, 2 times root 9, well, we know that root 9 is 3, so 2 times that is 6 root 2 on the top, and still 9 on the bottom. And again, lo and behold, we've got a common factor on the top and bottom of our fraction. 6 divides by 3, and 9 divides by 3, so we finally, we end up with 2 root 2 on the top, and 3 on the bottom. 2 root 2 over 3 is your final answer for that one. Here are 4 examples for you to have a go at. Make sure that you simplify your answers after you rationalize the fractions. Okay, pause the video now, and the answers will be revealed shortly. So here you go. Your answers to question number 1 is 3 root 10 over 5. Your answer to number 2 is root 5 over 5. Your answer to number 3 is 7 root 2 over 4. And your answer to number 4 is root 15 over 6. If you didn't get that, make sure that you consult a maths teacher for some help and advice. Finally, if you'd like to do a little bit more on rationalizing fractions, there are some further examples in the National 5 past papers. Make sure you go to the SQA website and they're downloadable for free. If you'd like any help with rationalizing fractions, make sure that you come and see a maths teacher, or you attend a supported study session which is after school on Tuesday or Wednesday. Thanks for listening.